Hi, I'm Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor with Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Centers, and today I will be answering Google's most frequently asked questions. How does chiropractic adjustment work? Great question. Chiropractic adjustments have to be delivered in a specific place with a specific vector, which means a force and a direction. And so you don't just adjust the spine, you find out where there are either misalignments or restrictions or a need for neuromuscular education or stimulation. Those are the areas you adjust. And so what an adjustment does is it will unlock a joint that maybe is locked, or it'll realign a joint that is misaligned, or it will stimulate nerve endings that connect the brain to that joint. And how they work is every time you adjust a joint, you move that joint, you send a burst of proprioceptive input or information about joint sense to the brain, and now the brain is aware of that joint and it can control the muscles around it better. So that is the scientific way of how a chiropractic adjustment works. The simple answer is we unlock joints so they can move better. Second question, how does chiropractic care work? That is great. Chiropractic is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle without drugs and surgery. So you think about anything that's ever bothered you, hurt you, affected you, disturbed your life, made you uncomfortable. Well, you can take a medication for it. You can possibly have surgery for it, or you can try chiropractic. Now, chiropractic is not a cure-all. It doesn't fix everything. If my arm gets chopped off in an accident, I'm not going to grow another arm back by getting a chiropractic adjustment. So I understand that. But within limits, when it comes to boosting the immune system, when it comes to improving body function, digestion, sleep, breathing, as well as musculoskeletal movement patterns, all of that can be improved through chiropractic care. Next question. How does chiropractic activator work? Very similar to an adjustment. An activator basically is an adjustment. An activator is a device that delivers a precise force to the joint that needs to be adjusted. And again, what it does is it activates the nerve endings to send an impulse of input to the brain from that joint, reconnecting that joint and the brain, allowing the body to function and work better. Next question. You guys ask great questions, by the way. Next question is, how does chiropractic help the immune system? Well, the body needs energy for the immune system to work. That's why if you ever have a couple of sleepless nights, your immune system goes down, and that's when you catch a cold. If you're someone who catches a cold in the summer, that's because your energy levels are down, or potentially your adrenal glands have been depleted. High stress situations do the same thing. What chiropractic does, it increases your body's efficiency. Your body becomes more efficient and effective. Immune system goes up. Also in 1990, and I'm not sure about the exact year, but I believe it was 1990, the National Institutes of Health, funded by the federal government, did the first study on chiropractic. And what they did was they did an adjustment on the upper back between the shoulder blades, and they measured white blood cell count pre and post adjustment. What they found was that there's this thing called a respiratory burst. When the upper back was adjusted, white blood cell count went up within 15 minutes of the adjustment, which means the immune system was boosted just by doing an adjustment in the upper back. It's not a very specific study. They should have been done with maybe possible an x-ray analysis or determining a need for the adjustment and be more specific with the adjustment. Regardless, that adjustment did boost the immune system measured by white blood cell count in the patients. So pretty impressive how an adjustment can boost the immune system. Next is, how does chiropractic medicine work? Well, that would pretty much be an oxymoron, because chiropractic and medicine can't be put together. Chiropractic has a philosophy that's opposite of medicine. Medical philosophy would be that the body is incomplete and you need to put something into it or take something out of it for it to be complete or to work better. Chiropractic philosophy says the body is designed to self-heal and self-regulate. It's perfect the way it is. You don't need to put something into it or take something out of it. And so the two terms don't really work well together. So I know a lot of people call chiropractic medicine. I think what they mean is chiropractic healthcare, not chiropractic medicine. Medicine refers to drugs. Allopathic terminology or healthcare, chiropractic is more holistic, internal. we work with what's inside the body. And so the terms really don't work together. In this case, I think it's referring to just chiropractic care or chiropractic wellness. Next, we have, how does chiropractic help ear infections? Goodness, that's a good one. See, ear infections caused by bacteria or sometimes a virus. Either way, what happens is fluid cannot drain. Fluid builds up, builds pressure, and that fluid needs to drain. Adults have a eustachian tube that dips down, and it's a lot easier to drain. In children, that eustachian tube is more straight until they develop and grow into it. And so kids are more susceptible to ear infections than adults. What allows the drainage is how much restriction you might have underneath it. So there's a muscle under the eustachian tube where the opening is that's called the tensor villi palatini muscle. Just like if you have a nerve impingement, the muscles in your neck will tense up. If you have a nerve impingement at the very top of your neck where C1, the first bone in the neck, that causes that muscle to tense up and it blocks drainage. It tenses up and stops the drainage of the ear, and sometimes correcting the misalignment at the very top of the neck will get that muscle relaxed and ear starts to drain. Ear infections tend to go away within a few hours. Second reason chiropractic can help with ear infections is the second bone in the neck. If that bone is misaligned, it can cause tightness of the muscle right here called the sternocleidomastoid muscle, or SCM muscle. If that muscle is tight and tense because of nerve interference and a misalignment in the upper neck, it blocks lymph drainage. You have anterior and posterior cervical lymph channels in your neck, and tight muscles can block lymph drainage, and that fluid can back up into the sinuses and into the ears. A lot of times adjusting C2, the second bone in the neck, will allow that to drain. Either way, when it drains, the body can heal itself. One other thing chiropractors do is sometimes if there's pressure built up inside the ear, there's a technique where you use the earlobe, lower the earlobe, bring it back and pull it up and out in a quick J-like motion, and you'll hear the ear actually pop, and that gets it to drain as well. So there's just 3 ways that we can help ear infections, especially in children. Ideally, you want to avoid antibiotics with kids because you want their immune system to build up and be stronger. I believe the American Academy of Pediatrics also recommends with ear infections to not prescribe antibiotics. I am not a medical doctor, so I'm not going to tell you one way or the other. I know antibiotics are always prescribed for ear infections, but you need to look into it and say, why does the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is supposed to be the foremost expert in pediatrics, why did they say don't prescribe antibiotics for ear infections? I would look into it and do some research and try chiropractic care. Next question is, how does chiropractic help constipation? There's so much to this question. So the very simple answer is nerves control your intestines. You have a whole nervous system that's dedicated just to your intestinal tract, and those nerves come out of your spine. So if there's a misalignment in your spine, it can affect how your spine mobility and motility functions, and it can impede that, which means it can lead to constipation. Specifically, the L3 nerve, the third lumbar vertebra, if that's misaligned, quite often the nerve from that level of the spine goes to the valve between the small and large intestine. And so sometimes that gets affected and it can lead to bloating, gas, and constipation. But there's another way chiropractic can help that. See, some people have chronic constipation. They've been constipated their whole life. And the reason for that isn't because of a sickness or an illness or a malnutrition or dehydration. They've tried all of that. They take their magnesium, they take their potassium, they drink a lot of water, they eat a lot of fiber, and they're always still constipated. Well, think about this. Their body might be stuck in fight or flight. I wrote a whole book on that. The book is called Cracking the Stress Secret, How to Turn Pressure into Power. And in the book, I talk about how the human body can be stuck in a sympathetic state, which is fight or flight. When your body is in fight or flight, and it may be an emotional cause to it, or it may be a physiologic cause to it, and we can get into that later, but whatever the cause is, if your body is stuck in stress constantly, 2 systems slow down and stop. One is your immune system, one is your digestive system. So you'll have chronic constipation, you'll have chronic indigestion or heartburn, and you also have a suppressed immune system, which can lead to chronic sinus infections. Either way, a chiropractic adjustment can remove interference from the nervous system, allow the body to come out of fight or flight. Now, we did a video on our YouTube channel called Chiropractic Care for the Stressed Out Patient. Watch that video. Those are the adjustments those patients need, because a lot of times misalignments in the spine, this is a proven fact. There's been lots of research studies done on this. Any misalignment in the spine increases the body's sympathetic response, which pushes you to fight or flight. Just removing that misalignment and interference from the nervous system lowers the sympathetic activity of the body, moves you into rest and repair, or wine and dine, or rest and digest, however you want to talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's when digestion is working properly. Your body in a healthy state needs to 80% of the time be in parasympathetic and only 20% of the time in sympathetic. So 20% of the time in fight or flight, 80% of the time in rest and repair. And those people sleep better. If you're having trouble falling asleep, you may be stuck in fight or flight. If you have a mind that keeps racing and you can't calm it down and you can't fall asleep, or you utter the phrase, "I'm too tired to fall asleep," you are probably stuck in fight or flight. Check your digestion and see if you're battling constipation. Chiropractic care might be the right thing for you. I'm not saying it's the cure-all, but it's one of the best ways. Next question, last one on this board. We have, how does chiropractic help headaches? Man, what type of headaches? You didn't specify. So you got migraine headaches, you've got cluster headaches, you've got tension headaches, a whole host of them. You can have sinus headaches. There are different types of headaches, right? Some headaches are vascular, some headaches are muscular or referral pattern. A lot of times when you have tension in your upper traps, let's say you've been sitting at a computer all day, that's called a tension headache. And literally these muscles and these will refer pain to your forehead. You're getting that tight band in your forehead and you get that pain in the headache. That's probably a tension headache, or it's because of referral pain. Loosening up these muscles can temporarily get rid of those headaches. It may be that your spine needs to be adjusted, so chiropractic care might be the right thing for you. Even the FDA will tell you chiropractic care is fantastic for reducing the pain of headaches, reducing the frequency of headaches, and some people, when they get chiropractic adjustments, they stop having migraines completely. So now, migraines can be caused by food sensitivities. Wine, cheese, chocolate, and nuts can cause migraines in some people. So check your diet and see if those are some of the patterns. Keep a food journal. Every time you have a migraine, write down everything you ate the day before, how you slept, what you did, and look for patterns, because sometimes it may just be, hey, don't drink wine before you go to bed, and you may not get that migraine. Let's go to the next board. All right, these are why questions. Oh boy, I hope I can answer these. Why chiropractic adjustments work? Well, they work because they unlock joints that are locked up. If a joint's locked up, it leads to what's called dyskinesia. Dyskinesia is abnormal movement of a joint. And any joint that's locked in place and held immobilized, it will lead to arthritis. What's arthritis? Bone spur formation and disc damage, which leads to bulging discs, which can cause nerve interference and severe pain. So why chiropractic works is because it allows for proper motion, and if a joint's moving properly, it will not become arthritic and it will not cause all the problems we've talked about. Next question. Why chiropractic care is good? You want a short answer or a long answer? Short answer is chiropractic is good because it's not dependent on drugs and surgery. Drugs should be last resort. Surgery should be even further your last resort. And so until you've tried everything holistic and wellness, you really shouldn't resort to drugs and surgery. That includes over-the-counter medications. I know they're safe, but keep in mind, and I want you to Google this yourself, so I'm not going to give you the number, but I want you to go, and since these are Google questions, I want you to ask Google a question. Ask Google, how many people die annually from taking over-the-counter pain medication? Annually, every single year, just in the United States. Look that up and see what Google tells you. That's why chiropractic is good. Next, why chiropractic is important? Well, because it impacts the nervous system. And what does the nervous system control? Everything. Your brain is the central nervous system, so is the spinal cord, and all the nerves that come out of it, that's your peripheral nervous system. And so the only way the brain connects to your body is through nerves. And nerves send information to the brain will process that information, send information out. And so interference in the nervous system will cause dysfunction in the body. And all of a sudden, if your heart can't communicate with your brain properly, then you're going to end up having potentially heart issues, blood pressure issues, irregular heart rate, all that stuff. If your brain is having trouble communicating with your stomach, you'll have intestinal issues or stomach issues, heartburn, acid reflux, indigestion. And so everything's connected to your brain. It's very, very important that chiropractic is used to make sure your nervous system is functioning absolutely perfectly. Next one is, why chiropractic care? Great question. Because it's much better than drugs and surgery. And you know what? Most people go to their dentist to get their teeth checked to see if there's any problems. Well, you should have your spine checked on a regular basis. I recommend having spinal x-rays every 2 to 3 years just to see if there's a new bone spur or a new disc damage or anything else going on, if the curves are normal. Most people don't get spinal x-rays until they actually have pain and problems. And so it's very important for you to be proactive and keep yourself healthy in advance of a problem showing up. Next question, why chiropractic adjustments don't work? Oh my goodness. You know what? One of those reasons might be that the body might be malnourished. We probably don't eat food properly. We probably don't take the right amounts of nutrients in our diet. And a lot of times chiropractic might make someone feel better temporarily, but if there's other causes to the problem that we're having, then chiropractic is not going to fix everything. So make sure you're looking at the whole body and you're looking at the 3 dimensions of the body. See, you could have psycho-emotional stress, you could have biochemical stress, and you can have physical stress. We'll remove the physical stress through adjustments and nerve interference, but there's still biochemical stress and psycho-emotional stress on the body. Chiropractic is not going to work as well. So keep that in mind. Next, why chiropractic care is important. It's important because it impacts the most important part of your body. It's your brain. See, if I chop off my head and remove my brain, will I live or die? Of course I'll die. We don't have to do a live demonstration. You know the answer. The brain is the most important thing. But how does the brain communicate with the rest of the body? It's through your spinal cord and all the nerves. So it is the most powerful thing. You've heard of people who break their neck and are paralyzed. Guess what? They don't get paralyzed just in the neck. They're paralyzed from there down. And if there's a misalignment in the neck interfering with spinal cord function or putting tensile stress on the spinal cord, guess what? It's not just a neck issue. It's going to affect you from there down. You just won't know it initially until other problems start to show up. It's important to get your spine checked on a regular basis. 2 more questions. Why chiropractic adjustments don't hold? Oh my gosh. Do your exercises. See, it's so important that we approach everything from both sides. One, mobilize and improve flexibility. The other is make it sturdy and stable, right? When you mobilize, you allow for motion, but you got to stabilize also. And so you have to do some of your exercises to strengthen around the new alignments. A lot of patients say, I did all these physical therapy exercises to strengthen my core and strengthen the muscles around my spine, and I didn't feel any better. And I go, well, because when you exercise, you stabilize around the wrong alignment. So what you have to do is first adjust, then stabilize, right? So that's why sometimes physical therapy exercises don't work, is because you didn't align the spine prior to that, right? And sometimes chiropractic doesn't work because you didn't do the physical therapy exercises afterwards to stabilize around it. Physical therapy is what teaches you movement patterns and firing patterns and allows your body to strengthen, stabilize around that new alignment that the chiropractor makes for you. So why they don't hold is because you didn't do your part. So we're going to have to keep adjusting you over and over and over, forever. Final question. Why chiropractic for babies? Goodness, do you have another hour? I'll tell you just quickly. The way we deliver babies is we typically, obstetricians, take the baby's head, turn it to the left, and pull. Well, they use 20 pound-feet of torque to turn the head to the left, and they pull with a force of, on average, 70 pounds. This is based on data and research. 70 pounds of pull. So imagine holding a newborn baby by his head, letting the body dangle. That's only 6 to 8 pounds of weight. And imagine adding a 70-pound weight to that baby's foot and picking him up by his head. Imagine the stress on the spinal cord. So a lot of times babies get misaligned as they go through the birth canal. Now if you use a midwife, that's less likely to happen because most midwives don't touch, they don't pull, they wait, they catch the baby. But the baby can also get misalignments while in the mom still, because if mom's pelvis is misaligned, the baby can get misaligned prior to being born. Either way, it's always a good idea. There is a hospital in New Zealand. They don't let newborns leave the hospital until a chiropractor has checked their neck. And I wrote about that in my book. I have tons of data and research on why chiropractic care for newborns and babies. But basically, everything develops at certain windows. You have genetic windows in your life the first 3 months, these are the things that need to happen. The next 3 months, it's this. The next 3 months, it's this. Different body parts, organs, glands, movement patterns, thoughts, everything develops certain times. If there's nerve interference to that body part during that genetic window, that body part may have problems, and that baby might have problems when they're older and for the rest of their life. And so for babies to be healthy, it's a good idea to make sure their nervous system is completely free from interference. And by the way, baby adjustments are not the same as adult adjustments. They're done with the pinky. The force is very, very low. It's about the weight of a nickel is all it takes. The way we assess is we do a thermal scan to look for heat patterns around the spine. If there's abnormalities there, we know there's nerve interference. The adjustments are really light and gentle, and a post-scan will tell us if that adjustment was effective or not. And then you can check by doing the primitive reflexes of the baby and looking at their bodily functions and asking mom about how they're sleeping, how they're nursing, how they're pooping, and all of that stuff. So anyways, babies are fantastic. I'd love to give them a good, healthy start to life. Best thing for that is chiropractic care. So I hope I answered all your questions. If you have more questions, send them our way. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bless you, and we'll talk soon.